How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Draven with us from United Kingdom, and we are so excited to have people from United Kingdom because this podcast we are very welcome to all the Americans, and this podcast the majority of guests are coming from United States, but I live in London, like all of you know, and we love when we have British people coming to our podcast as well. So very welcome. And here's the question: what are the 5 steps that you recommend tech entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Hi, Harry. Nice to be with you today and join a fellow person in the United Kingdom and to discuss this. So, look, let's be honest. Most people overcomplicate business. Entrepreneurship isn't magic. It's a discipline. It's a clarity. It's an execution. So, the framework that I've used over and over, obviously I've exited 2 businesses in my time. And so I'd say kind of first thing, and probably most of the listeners have heard this before, but I'll double down on it, is solve a painful problem, one that people will pay to remove. I think especially in tech, everyone wants to build something that's cool. Very few want to solve something that's painful. They get maybe caught up with the buzzwords, but money really does follow pain. So if your business doesn't kind of solve a friction or frustration or inefficiency, it isn't a business. It's more a kind of nice to have. Dare I even said a hobby. So your first million is really a byproduct of solving a problem really, really well, violently well, is what I would say.
Okay, that will be the step number 1. And then, okay, we're solving a problem. I like this, what you share with me, like violently solve a problem. So meaning that it's not a cosmetic, it's not something cool. You actually have to solve a problem for real. So let's say tech entrepreneur already get that. What are the next 4 steps in order to get to product market fit?
Validate it, then build it, not the other way around. I think I've seen too often many founders go off and get excited with writing the code, coming up with their great idea, that developing it in their head, and then they come out and go, ta-da! Actually, before speaking to a customer first, speak to the end user. In my way, reverse it, sell the vision, test that value, get some pre-commits if possible, and then build the simplest version that delivers results ultimately. Proof completely beats perfection. Traction beats theory, and speed learning beats slow planning. So validate, then build. Too often, too many founders go the other way around, in my opinion. That's definitely step 2 for me.
Okay. And then after it's validated,
execute. Because if you actually know what it is, it's validated, you're solving that problem, as I said, violently. Solving it, execution is the multiplier. But then the strategy really matters, so consistent execution will beat that perfect plan that you've never actually fully committed to. So pick the direction that you're going, set objectives, set weekly targets, know your KPIs, measure, learn from it, and adjust. It's going to be a bumpy road up and down, but when you face failure, you get learnings. Measure those learnings and adjust. Most founders, in my opinion, really lack the strategy. But is it lacking the strategy, or is it lacking the discipline? And the discipline is to kind of measure and execute. You've got to execute.
okay. So being being a millionaire in tech is easy? Probably this is the question that I'll ask all tech entrepreneurs that come in here, because 1 out of 5 guests from this podcast Unstoppable, 5 Step Out to Make Your First Million, they are tech entrepreneurs. They are tech millionaires, people exactly like you that you exit twice, not even one time your tech company, but twice. So you don't need twice, right? So tell us what's the good, the bad, and the ugly of the tech business, because I repeat again and again, I don't want to mislead our audience, because it doesn't matter what I say, people are listening and they say, you know what? Piece of cake. I want to be a millionaire. And I'm listening Harry's podcast. And come on, 1 out of 5 coming as a tech millionaire and a tech entrepreneur millionaire. Another 1 out of 5 is coming about property, is property investor. So you know what? If I want to make a million, I'm going to tech or I'm gonna go to property. So, and we only hear the success of the people that actually make it, but the tech it has a huge rate of failing. So tell us honestly the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we don't want to disencourage all the opposite. In this podcast, we're rooting for you guys to start your business, to grow your business, and to become millionaires. We're rooting for you guys. However, listen what he had to say, because it's not that easy, right?
It's not. It's not. And look, it's easy for me to sit here and say, yeah, I've done it twice. And, the naivety of me when I done it the first time, I said, surely the second time is going to be easier. No. If anything, it was even harder.
Yeah, look at this. My
Yeah,
goodness.
and that's because I was shooting for bigger goals,
And
bigger.
you knew what you were doing on the second time, yeah?
I knew what I was
You know
doing.
you
I
were
had,
doing, and on top of that
yeah,
was challenging, right?
I
Imagine
learned
without know,
from
imagine the
lots of
first time that you don't know what you're doing. Oh my god.
Yeah. So you think the second time is going to be even easier? Like, there's so many failures, but I think in general, like whether you're in tech, you're an entrepreneur, it's not one big battle. It's a
Mm-hmm.
thousand little small
Mm-hmm.
battles. Whether it's cash flow, whether it's product not
Mm-hmm.
quite right,
Mm-hmm.
investors, loads. But I think what if I look at what I learned from the first one and the second one, it was really being ruthless with what was
Mm-hmm.
priority.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting that noise, focusing on what's going to make that revenue grow, talking to the customers, trimming the product to the core value, culture. And I think this is what a lot of entrepreneurs don't really talk about
I agree
is
100% with you.
culture.
Oh
Like
yeah.
when even in my darkest moments and difficulties, I had to remain very calm in front of my team,
100%.
really thoughtful, empathetic leadership. Even as those hard moments, and bring my team with me. So it
Seven and
wasn't.
a half moments. It's not only one
Yeah,
in tech. Yeah.
yeah. It wasn't.
Happen more often than you wish.
Yeah, it's totally is. And look, it's not just a case of powering through. It was more about, being measured and having resilience. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it gets back to what I said earlier. It's just having that discipline,
Mm-hmm.
Harry. Really,
Okay.
you know.
So then tell us why it's good. Why we have so many millionaires coming to this podcast? Am I attracting them? I don't think so. I think that tech is a great vehicle in order to build wealth and real estate. I mean, because the statistic of this podcast, you are a tech guy, so you know numbers don't lie. So what is good about tech? Something has to be good that we have so many millionaires.
So tech is democratized, in the sense of like you can go out there and start a very small business in tech overnight, right? But tech is such a broad spectrum. So, for example, I built software and I built SaaS B2B software for mission critical industries. Very complex, very difficult to do. But tech also encompasses someone setting up an e-commerce business and utilizing Shopify. And I started my first company 16 years ago, and tech was a higher barrier to get
Oh,
into.
wow. Wow.
So it
Yes,
was a lot,
16 years ago was a
yeah,
very high
yeah,
barrier to entry. Very
very high
expensive.
barrier
Very
and
expensive, right?
expensive. But now to get into tech is completely democratized, and obviously with the advent of AI, being here, people have more tools than ever to get in to tech and reach scale. That's where you make wealth in tech, is you can get scalability and you can get
Yeah,
to
I agree
being
with
a
you. It's
global business.
easy to scale. You can scale fast, maybe, but also the valuation, right? Tech businesses, the valuation of tech businesses are the multiples are higher than traditional business. If you're gonna
Yeah.
sell your restaurant, right? Maybe I don't know. There is time three, time five. How to check the EBITDA or profit? Whether tech is completely different ball game. I hear that some valuation there. Time 12, time 20 profit and EBITDA. So
And
evaluation of tech businesses is the multiple is higher than the other industry. Why do you think that the multiple is so high?
because the financial model behind it is completely different, you know. So look, we all love restaurants, we all love a good restaurant, but that
Barber,
restaurant,
hairdressers,
hairdressers, there's
retail stores that sell wine. If you see the multiples on this business, that that it takes a lot of effort also to build, but the multiples are way lower than tech.
that's because they're service-based industries, and therefore they don't have a recurring compounding revenue model. Most modern tech businesses have a recurring compounding revenue model. So let's take round numbers, Harry, and say a tech business does 1 million of annual recurring revenue in 1 year, and it is just churning 3% of those customers. They don't decide to renew again for the forthcoming year. That means you're going into the second year with 970,000 of revenue immediately. So it compounds and builds, but it also allows a bit, a tech business entrepreneur to forecast where they can invest, because if you know that that's what you can do and pretty much guaranteed to do in year two, you can look at how you can double down on things and increase marketing and everything else. Sadly, restaurants, haircuts, it all fluctuates, goes up and down. It's not a guarantee. Someone might come every 3 weeks and then change to come in every 6 weeks to get their haircut. Not in tech. It's much more of a recurring
Yeah,
model.
and if you want to scale it, you need to scale it. You have to to
Be able
to
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 forecast.
book. Well, you have to find the location, you have to pay the rent, you have to bring those employees. You have more complex operation. Well, I don't say complex, more populated operation, right? You have more people, and that is, in my opinion, high risk. I also think that something behind the evaluation of the businesses also is that they're collecting data, and the use of the data, people don't even know how much the data is gonna worth in the future. So just in case they're paying top dollar for it today, yeah, which is good for the people in the tech space, right?
I think, look, also tech companies can be much more lean and agile than traditional
Mm-hmm.
service-based businesses, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously tech companies can use
Mm-hmm.
tech to
Mm-hmm.
run them and operate them. And obviously, with the advent of AI, it's going to allow us to do a lot more
Mm-hmm.
with a lot less and
Okay.
be very smart about our
But
resources for sure.
how different is tech from the traditional business? Because this is the situation. Yeah, I have the traditional this is the usual tech entrepreneur that come to me, Harry, please help me to find funding. So this is what they do. Okay, they are software developer. Okay, they love to write code. Okay, these were MVP. They already removed the M. There is no minimum viable product anymore. So they're coming to me with a big elephant, this software that's gonna solve this problem in the world. Okay, they haven't validated, as you know. Okay, and then they're coming to me with this big elephant and telling, Harry, I need some funding. Can you find me some venture capitalists and everything to because we need the money to solve this. And I'm like, what? But do you think this is stupid? He probably exit 2 or 3 times, right? And more often tech entrepreneurs, because okay, we don't know what we're doing. Okay, we get they get the formula wrong, so they remove the MVP. They haven't talked to anybody, and then they're coming to me or to other people there that have some access to finding for funding. Okay, and there is no. And when you tell them, look, guys, you have to put your feet in on the ground. This is not how it works. And then when I put in front of the VC is telling the same thing. What the VC is so polite that you know what, guys, you're brilliant. Call me in your next idea. And the
Yeah.
tech entrepreneurs are telling me, why this guy is telling me the next idea? I want to invest now. So what he's telling you is that you're brilliant, but you got the formula right how the thing works, and he doesn't have time to explain you. But then they coming to me and tell me, Harry, you don't understand. Tech is different. So I'm like, I don't understand. They say, yeah, Harry, you're a business coach. Business also different. Your problem is that you don't understand tech is different. So how different is tech from the? Because the more I see tech, the more I see a lot of similarity with traditional business. Exactly as you say, you have to validate, you have to show some sales, you have to show some numbers. Those times that you write a piece of paper and the VC give you $1 million, in my opinion, I think they are gone. And maybe sometimes it works like that. I don't know. Sometimes now with AI, they think every time there's a flavor of the day, there is VC excitement and money excitement. And sometimes the tech entrepreneur, they get misled by all these trendy things, and it doesn't really focus in the formula exactly that you share, because if they I can guarantee that they follow the steps that you share here. Number one, which I love, solve a real problem. And I want you to expand on this later on. Yeah. Solve a real problem. And number two, can you define validate so they understand what do you mean with validate before building, which everybody is doing totally the opposite. Building, not even validated. Building and then bring it to me.
But
So
Harry,
tell us. How
if
different is tech business for traditional business?
it's
It's
it's different in the sense of how you can get scalability, but its core business principles of how a business needs to operate is not different. So too many times I've seen founders come along with their shiny new product that they want an investor. I am an angel investor and invest in them to say, if you give me this money, I'll be able to go and spend it in XYZ to get my product out there. But in today's world, you can market your product without any of that. So they completely forget those fundamental principles, and they become so product obsessed that they forget to say, look, here's my product, would you want to buy it? Right? So they don't get
mm,
into the
mm,
actual sales
mm,
process
mm,
and selling it. And
mm,
they get caught up with saying, okay, I need venture capital. I need to go and raise capital. I need capital now to be able to take my product to market. No, you don't. No, you don't. There's so many successful
mm,
bootstrapped businesses
mm,
that have gone on to have incredible multiples and incredible exits. And founders have actually retained 100% of their business and even walk
mm,
away with more money than a founder that has raised 100 million in venture capital. Venture capital is right for certain types of tech businesses and not right for others.
mm,
But that's a different conversation.
mm,
Getting back to the principles of what a business
mm,
is,
mm,
whether it's a traditional service business or a tech business, you've got
mm,
to tell people about your business. Get your story out there, educate your audience, become the voice in your market, get paying customers.
mm,
Get paying customers, and you get that traction. And then when you come to venture
mm,
capital or come to you, Harry, and say, Harry, get
mm,
people to invest in my business, you've
mm,
actually got credibility because
mm,
someone has
mm,
said, here's a check for your product.
mm.
That's
So
credibility.
so here's the thing. Okay, build it. They are so good. All the
Yep.
tech entrepreneurs are building are so good. So I don't want you that you define this concept for them, because they know that very well and they can handle that one. But there are two concepts that are your concepts, because are your step number one and number two. And I want that you give us the definition so our tech entrepreneurs understand. I want that you give us the definition of problem, real problem that you solve. Okay, because everybody thinks so. what that actually mean, and what the characteristic of this problem, because the people say, no, look, I'm solving a problem, just people don't buy my problem. Well, there is something with the problem that you're solving, because it was so painful and so good, people were paying for it. So, and number
They'll pay
two,
to remove it.
number
Pay
two,
to remove it.
validation.
Yeah.
Define validation for them. I'm begging you, because we want all our tech entrepreneurs to be healthy, wealthy, happy. But if you don't understand and absorb this content that Driven is gonna share with about to share with us now, look, it's not going to work, because this formula have a step that if you miss one, that's it. It's gone. Okay. So can you please define the problem and the validation? I would love to hear your concept on that.
So look, if I just give my simple 5 steps, all right, and reiterate them. So solve a painful problem, but most importantly, one that people are willing to pay for,
Yeah, but how
right?
they know that? How this look like? Because
Ah,
they come to me and like this. That's it. When I tell them exactly what you're telling me, they tell me, look,
so
this is the problem and I'm solving it. So
so
how this problem look like, so they understand?
if you've got a problem and you know that who your end customer is, then aren't you going to go to step two to validate, to speak to that customer and say, hey, if I was to build this and solve this problem, how much would you pay for that, Mr. Customer? What's it worth to you? How much time would I save you? How much is that pain costing you? If I can remove the cost of that pain, therefore, what would you pay for it? And then you're
Mm,
defining the market, you're defining the
mm,
opportunity, you're defining how that problem is going to be valuable and, most importantly, paid for.
mm.
So then the customer will tell you all of those. Your potential customer will tell you.
There
Do
you
the
go.
research.
I love it.
Lots of founders don't do the research.
Exactly. So in the end of the day, uh, to validate your product, guys, even before you build it, okay? Because every time we have a tech business, we get so excited and start building it. Before you build it, okay, validate it, and like Draven shared with us, okay, what that means validation. What validation? If you want to know if your product actually is going to work and is solving a problem, if you talk with Mr. Customer and Mr. Customer is willing to pay, it's actually willing to say, okay, if you build it, I will pay you, I don't know, £100 a month for this. And you know what? Uh, Here is my commitment. And you find a lot of people like that,
Yeah,
that you don't validate the product. The customer validated this. Look, when my first property business, I managed to save 5 million in London. I was doing rent to rent, and I remember my first room. I went there. I'll rent the house, you see, and then I will rent it room by room and to try to make some money, right? And then when I showed to a guy the room, there it was close to West Ferry, Canary Wharf. I said, "Look, this is the room that I'm renting." The guy said, "Look, man, this room needs painting, yeah. And there's this mattress. You don't have bed sheet, nothing. You know what? I'm not taking it." So I said, "Okay, fine." Uh, then I went to the painting shop, to the shop that they sell paint, and said, "Look, guy, look, man, can I want to paint. I need to paint the room. I never paint in my life." And he said, "Okay, Harry, I know that you never paint in your life, because this question that you're asking, I can tell. Look, don't ask me anything. I'm gonna give you a lot of things. Go and paint your room." So I paint everything. I paint the room, the floor, myself. It was a big mess the whole night. Yeah. Next day, I have a girl come in there, open the room. I said, "Look, do you want to take it?" And the girl said, "Well, it's painted, but the bed sheet, it's so cold, no bed sheet, nothing. No, I'm not gonna take it." So the girl left, and I went to IKEA, and I'm thinking she wants warm, I'm gonna give her warm. So I bought this pink duvet cover, pink, red, and orange that they have in IKEA. More warm, impossible. And then I bought a vase for £1, I think, the Chinese shop, and a painting, those ones that they send in IKEA, big black, white with a little bit of red. And then the third guy comes. I said, "Look." this is the room. Do you want to take it? And the guest said, yes, I take it. That was 18 years ago. I never looked back then. So I didn't, it was not the product that I wanted. They told me actually what they really want and how, right?
The other thing as well, Harry, is not just validating the problem and validating what the customer wants to pay, but it's also validating the TAM, which is the total addressable market. That's the size of the market that you can actually serve.
Mm-hmm.
And then that determines what scale that you can get in that market and what the return would be if you go after that market. Now, I'm
And
not
what
going to
size this business actually is going to
what
have
size
because.
this business can become exactly.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
then that's a way of working backward to say,
mm-hmm,
okay, well then this is how much investment that we probably need to go after this size of market, etc. There's too many founders think the idea and the problem that they're solving is great, but it might only be for a small number of people. So therefore you can't get scale and it's not that cost effective to go and do it then. Look, my second company that I built, we went after the field service management industry. So plumbers, tradespeople that go out and carry out servicing and jobs in the field. They might go and service a gas boiler. Most of those businesses were paper based, and I knew that we could solve the problem with software. However, I was like, is that a small market or a really big market? And it turned out when I did my research to validate that market before building software, I had discovered that 52% of field service businesses globally had no software. So I instantly went, oh, okay. And I discovered how many billions the field service industry is worth globally as well. And then I went, well, if I can only get a small percentage of that, that then equates into X.
mm-hmm,
And I'm solving a problem for these tradespeople, whether with software, helping
mm-hmm,
them with their business, etc. Then how much are they going to pay me? And
mm-hmm.
how many of those can I acquire? So it's really getting down into the detail and the validation of detail and the research before going and writing code. Because we can all write code and create products, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's a scalable business there.
Mhm. An entrepreneur came to this podcast in previous interview and told me, Harry, I'm gonna be blunt with you. Don't build the unicorn, build the camel. So what do you mean? Yeah. Everybody is so excited about building this unicorn and and make the billions and everything. This is what my opinion, okay? Rather don't focus in build that unicorn, focus in build the camel because the camel will last for so many days without water in the desert, and it's gonna be bulletproof. It's not gonna get tired. It's gonna be resistant. It's able to handle all weather and changing conditions. It will be strong, and with this unicorn idea is sounds very good, but sometimes it's a little bit fluff. So, what is your opinion in that statement? Don't build a unicorn, build a camel.
I get the analogy, and I think shooting for a unicorn is it's that mythical beast. Camel is not such a mythical beast, and I suppose what that other founder is referring to is the level of resilience. And building any type of business, whether it is a property business, a tech business, you're going to have that level of resilience that's going to be required. Also longevity, that's a very important thing in business because economies change. Sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're really bad. Can you withstand all of that? And I think what he's saying there is that camel can go without water for a few days. So will your business stand up to those fluctuations in the economy?
Mhm.
We sadly went through COVID. The world has
Mhm.
never seen that before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And my business stood up to that resilience because
Well,
we had built
congratulations.
that into it. Yeah. So we weren't looking for a rainbow unicorn and that kind of shininess. And let's be real as well. There's
Mm-hmm.
only such a small percentage of companies in the world will ever reach that type of status and level. But that doesn't mean you're not a good company if you don't reach that status and
Mm-hmm.
level. Wealth generation can happen from businesses that have been around a long time
Mm-hmm.
and chuck off cash flow and cash consistently and repeatedly over a period of time, and wealth can be generated and built through that. We don't need to always just shoot for becoming a unicorn in the hope that you're going to get that. You can shoot for having a good business and a good solid business that will
Mm-hmm.
continuously return to you for sure. And I think that's probably the analogy between the camel and the unicorn that founder is getting at.
So there are previous tech entrepreneurs that we have interviewed in this podcast, and when I asking them if you had to start all over again, what would you do different? And most of the answer is always culture. They're telling me, Harry, if I knew how hard it's gonna take, and I will pay more attention, and I will in culture I will pay more attention to these 4 5 people that started with me, but also I will definitely pay more attention when the team grow as well, because you see when you have 5 people, they will work sweats and tears with no sleeping. Yeah. When you have 10 people, yeah, but then when you have 20, 50, it doesn't really work like that. However, one entrepreneur came here and told me that he had like 200 employees and all of them are like that. I don't know, but this is, he told me, no, no, Harry, when I expanded, I started with 5 people and they were 24/7. And when I was 200, everybody 24/7. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But generally, I don't think that culture fluctuates in when the business growth. However, we if we don't keep if we don't look at this properly, the whole thing goes out of control. And then when I was expanding my first business, I remembered that I was thinking, Harry, you have a small mess here, and you're gonna expand a big mess. And in tech companies, we have seen some cases that when they expand really rapidly, and there are some flaws in culture, and they are pay big price for it. So, what is your view in culture? Is it really that important? For you're so busy trying to validate this software, talking with the client to see if they want to buy, how much they want to buy, and then you have your marketing and sales team. Then you have to develop it. And so, who has time for culture when it's so busy every day? When it's a lot going on, what is this that important?
It's the number one important thing, Harry, and let's expand beyond culture. There's always so many different conversations about what is culture, how do you have culture in a business and everything else. Let's just
Tell
boil
us what is culture for you.
ah, and that's what I was going to say. And you just boil it down to one simple thing: businesses are people, and people are what will make a business succeed or not succeed. So, going back to your first question, would I going to say what the same as every other founder said? If I look back, what would I do different? It's making sure that my hiring and my recruitment was absolutely nailed, on fire. Now, I've had some incredible people come into my business over the years and gone from my businesses, etc. But I've also had some incredibly bad hires, and what have I
Me
learned from
too. Welcome to my life.
and
God.
they can be devastating on a business.
Yeah, it's
But
hard.
uh,
Yeah.
but I've got people that still work with me that came from my first company, and they're now in my second company and still with me these 16 years. They're very important to me. They're my source of truth and my trust and everything else, and they're my backbone and my foundation. But for businesses to scale and grow, you've got to bring in other people around the table and knowledge. So getting back to that point around culture, It's a very different point when you're a 5-person team or a 50-person team. But your ethics should remain the same. You know, if your culture is very much about radical transparency, then having people in your team that can deal with constructive feedback on an ongoing basis, that's important. That's culture
Yeah.
and people fit. So it's having those values and having those values really well defined for what
100%.
your culture is. And then getting
100%.
people to do that. Now,
Look. Mhm.
you're going to hire people that just don't completely fit sometimes and you thought they were absolutely
Mm.
amazing? Yes. My
So the
best my best advice in regards to that is hire and fire just as quick. So
Mhm.
hire quickly, make definitive decisions because you're growing. You need to put people in and good
Mhm.
people. But if they are the wrong people, you've got to get rid of quickly
Mhm.
because if you don't, the impact on your business will be too large and also the
Especially if
impact.
you're starting out, you can keep the
Correct.
business. We had the look. I had so many different businesses. My tech team is always the same. They and it's exactly what you are describing. There are key people uh, in the organizations um, that they have the use similar values. I think that culture is the values that you have as a founder. Uh, your team, they have to align with the same values. They need to have your same values. Uh, Probably even your clients will align with that. This is what you're putting out there. The problem is where by mistake you bring people in the organization that the value don't align. For example, my ones, every business that I have, I like big operation with very little people. This is how I this is what I love. I don't want to have so many people. I have a client that have 4,000 employees. He's CEO of so many supermarkets, and every time I talk to him, I just have headache to think that he had to deal every day with 4,000 employees. But this is him. Good. Harry different. Okay. I build large businesses, but with very small teams. So therefore, the people that come to my organization in 18 years, I never hear anybody in my team ever tell me, Harry, this is not my job. It doesn't work like this one. They come in with the look, this is 360, and something else can come. And this is very proactive. And this is how we're gonna do, and you're not gonna be bored. It's something different all the
That
time.
is
But
that
this is
that,
how we roll. And the
that
people that
sounds
didn't
like one of
fit,
your
the people
values though.
that didn't fit there, the people that look, this is my job, and I'm just gonna do this. They're brilliant for other companies, but unfortunately, it doesn't align with my. It's not my people, not bad employees, or whatever. It just we don't align, and someone make mistake down the line and hide this person. Okay, and I'm also part of my core values I are that is one they bring in, it doesn't matter who brought it, it's my responsibility, so I have to train and try to embed the culture, but 80% of the time fail, and has been a very expensive process for me. Exactly as you said, if you fire fast, it sounds a little bit tacky, but if you don't do that, it's very expensive and time
Sure.
consuming, and at the end 80% of the times, out of the 100%, I only could keep 20%, and the other 80, 1 year, 2 year in the organization. At the end, they just don't fit.
Yeah,
I
look,
just want to let them go. They After 2 years, they go by themselves. They just don't fit.
I agree with your statement around it may come across tacky by saying hire and fire just as
Yeah.
fast.
Everybody say
And,
this,
and,
but
and
nobody talks in depth
it,
what that actually means, right?
yeah, look, and that is not certainly what I set out to do when I'm hiring someone. I am trying to hire the very best person that I possibly can because I like to think of myself as a very empathetic leader and I'm very people orientated as well because I wouldn't be in the position that I am in and the successes that I have had if it wasn't for the people around me helping support me to do those, Harry. So, yes, somewhat of a comment and statement around the firing, but I suppose what I'm trying to say is making a decisive decision when there isn't that fit, because otherwise it's going to be an impact in the business and actually an impact on the other people within your business,
Hmm.
which
And in
isn't
you,
good either. And
and
on
in
me.
you, and in you that you lead in everyone because you're gonna go because it's happened to me so many times. Like you go to bed and you, oh my god, how can I make this thing work? And you try to because you know the impact in the team and that. But let's face it, when you run a large organization, someone can make mistake down the line. Okay, and they bring the at the beginning when you're small, yeah, okay, of course, if you're doing the hiring personally, the chances that you bring the wrong people are very low. But when you have people that they responsible for other people, and somebody else down the line make the hiring, and you are end up like tada. This is and you have a meeting, and you see somebody saying something that it doesn't just align with you. Like, oh my god, where this guy came from? Is very difficult to handle and expensive, and unfortunately it happened, and it will continue to happen. It will just, I think we have to mitigate, and that's why what you said about culture, the more you have the team
You
along
have
with the
values.
culture, the team along with that culture, if someone doesn't fit, they will check out themselves.
Well, it's getting back to what is your values within your company. And I think you mentioned a moment ago, you
Mhm.
like the
That's
fact
my
that
ones. Yeah, somebody else can
people,
run
yeah,
different, but my
but
ones are a bit crazy.
well, they're not, because you mentioned that everybody in your company will not turn around and say, well, that's not part of my job. Now, you could put that into a value of accountability, so that
Mhm.
everyone therefore in your business has accountability
Mhm.
and they're directly accountable for everything within that business. That's your culture. So when it comes to hiring people, it's looking for people of that characteristic. Are there these people that they're going
Proactive.
to bring in proactive? Are they going to take accountability, or are they not? So
Yeah.
that's where it aligns.
If I tell you about this podcast, yeah, I told them to my team, look, we're gonna do a podcast, and they told me, a what? Say podcast. I said, what's that? I said, I don't know either. Say, you don't know, Harry, what it is? Say, I don't know. People are doing it, and they say, okay, we don't know it. I said, well, we're gonna do one. And they told me, okay, Harry, this is what we're gonna do. Wait 3 weeks and let us find out what is that thing you wanna do. And after 3 weeks, they make this amazing virtual background. After 3 weeks, they came and say, Harry, listen, don't touch anything. Just record the Zoom meeting, upload it to Dropbox, and that's it. It will go to all your social media. It will go everywhere. It's in Spotify. We're gonna put it everywhere. He's already developed the site. He's the site, and I'm so proud of them.
Good.
That I that during the years, right, we managed to work like that, and I think they love that. They love that I come with something that no one have a clue, and they love to go search it, make it work, and then they're like that. I'm like that, so we are a good fit, and that's why some of them they stay so many years with us, right? And unfortunately, not this type of personality, values, culture. We cannot ask everybody like be like that. Some people have another characteristic. They are more focused. They want to have underlying things. I think that but when you, especially you, like a startup founder, when we are, and I think this is me, right? I'm always starting business all the time, so I need people proactive around me because when you have a small business, you have a startup. You cannot bring someone that, oh, this is my job. It doesn't work like that. You have to be a little bit of flexible. If the person not proactive, flexible, and it's gonna be very difficult because the team is small. You have to do more than one function,
You have
especially
to
in tech,
multitask.
multitask, especially in tech with so much going on. So, okay, if people are in love with this conversation, tech businesses, tech entrepreneurs, I want to learn more from you, how people can find you, how this process work. If somebody have an attractive product, maybe you can invest in them if they are good and they follow the formula. Guys, this is the thing for you. You're looking for funding. He already shared the formula. Follow the formula. You might be able to find funding. It's already, you're already sharing here. It's no. So how people can find you? How this process works?
So they can find me on LinkedIn, Draven McConville. I've got an unusual first name, Harry. So I will.
Yeah. I'm struggling to pronounce it, but I think I got there finally.
I will be found on LinkedIn. Obviously, I'm on my personal website as well, but I've also.
What is the personal website? Can you spell it for the people who are listening in the car?
Yeah, it's dravenmcconville.com, and then also my software company is Klipboard.io, and that's Klipboard with a K. So that's the field service management software. And then obviously feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always loving to connect with new people in business, hear their ideas, their thought processes. I can always provide constructive feedback.
I can tell.
to their
you
ideas
definitely.
and things as well.
If he doesn't invest, at least gonna give you feedback. Good. That's lovely, because some people say, "Well, call me your next idea," and they don't know what's going on. Yeah. Okay. Man, that has been fantastic. This interview. Really love it.
Thank you. It's been brilliant to have you on. Enjoyed the questions.
I think you're brilliant. You're so clever. You know more about this industry. When I'm back to London, I'm gonna take you to what tech. I hang around a lot with the Web3 tech entrepreneurs. I hang around. I love this community in London, and I hang around. I do talks for them time to time, and I support them all the time. They are great people, great ideas, right? It just, I don't know, that formula that you just shared somehow. A big part of them are doing it wrong. I'm trying to find what's the source. I got my theory that all they like is to write code. They are developers, and that's the only thing they love, and they start to do only that. And when you look around, the whole thing is out of control. But I'm trying to give them as much support as possible, and do a lot of talks with them, and try to give them some framework. I'm trying to bring brilliant people like you to this podcast so they can hear from people that actually done it. Yeah, in my opinion, I've been, like I said, I hang around a lot with tech. It's really difficult to succeed in this business, but with the right framework, with the right knowledge, and with the right formula, you can have a chance. Okay?
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Okay, and for all of you following
Harry.
Pleasure. For all of you following the broadcast, our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Draven break that wall and achieve $1 million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.